success and the career that you've had to date, let's look at the topic that we're talking about, how not to ruin your writing career. Has there been a point in your career to date that you thought, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that? Let's start with Chris.
I have been lucky in what I've done. All of my books are self-published. Hopefully I'm going to put something together that I can send to Gray at some point and make it through the slush pile process. But I'm continuing to develop myself as an author and what I'm doing. I would say that the one thing that I probably would have done better the first cover, the first time that it came out. I was so proud of it. I'd gone to a graphic artist. We had talked about it. We had come up with a great design, and then I turned it in for a cover contest through the book designer, Joel Friedman, and the comment was, wow, that's crappy. Oh dear God, it's my first one and it's crappy. I liked it. So obviously I needed to learn a little more.
Could I share two examples in kind of different zones?
Sure.
All right, so one example, we're all told very early on when you start submitting stories, submit things in the proper format, don't screw up, don't do the wrong thing, cross your I's or cross your T's and dot your I's. And exactly. I did the wrong thing. I keep my spreadsheets and my database of what I've submitted where, and somehow I screwed up. I submitted the same story to the same market twice, no revision.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was over. I got the email back and I realized, oh no, and they said, hey dude, you submitted the story to us. Did you mean to submit it again? I said, no, I didn't. I'm very sorry about that. They said, oh, okay. And I've subsequently submitted stories to them and haven't been published there yet. It's a high profile market, but they've offered me some nice feedback. So that's one thing. The other thing is writer's block. Okay, we all suffer at some point or another, most of us, whether we talk about it, from some writer's block. A couple of years ago, I went through a bad patch, and I came out of it, and I'm writing regularly, placing things in markets, things are going well. I feel really good, but looking back on it, there were lots of extrinsic things going on. People close to me had died. There was this or that challenge in my day job, and it was just too much stress. And I realized, I thought it was over. I was, in my heart, I thought, okay, that's it. It's quite possible that's the end of it, and it wasn't.
Well, there's a lot of little slips that I made in the beginning, and there's, making a snarling comment to the wife of a noted critic. She came, it was when my first book was coming out, and I went to Worldcon, and there was already a lot of buzz on the book, and people, my first novel was called Orbital Decay, and if you see copies of it, the blurb that Gregory Benford had supplied very generously, it said, reads like Golden Age Heinlein, which a lot of people unfortunately misconstrued as saying he's the next Heinlein. And so, which is total BS. I'm not Heinlein, and nobody will ever be the next Heinlein. And but I got to the convention and people were saying next Heinlein, next Heinlein, next Heinlein, and I'm going, no I'm not, no I'm not, no I'm not. And so the wife of a noted critic said, I hear you, the next Heinlein, that to me, and this was like the final straw. And I said, don't believe everything you hear, and turned around and walked off. This is not a good thing to do. No, but the one that nearly killed me, it was the same error that you made about multiple submissions. And it was with this same book. I wrote this book. It took 3 years to write it, and I was in graduate school. During the time between I was in graduate school at University of Missouri studying journalism and handling my first and last job, working for a newspaper in Massachusetts. And during that time, I saw there's a magazine, I think it's still being published, called The Writer, and Writer's Market in the back. And is The Writer still being published?
Yeah.
I
Yes,
haven't
sir.
seen an issue in a long
Right.
time. Do they still have
Yep.
The Writer's
Yes, sir.
Market in the back?
Mhm.
It's a good place to look for things. And I saw that there was a cattle opening for submissions for Bantam Spectra was launching their line. So I took, as you do, you write a long synopsis, like summary of your book, and the first 50 pages, which I polished up and sent off to them. And didn't hear anything for a very, very long time. I mean, it's like, actually felt like I was throwing it into a black hole. Didn't hear anything. And then sometime later, then there was another thing at Ace Books. They were looking for somebody. So, yes, I knew about the multiple submissions thing, that you're not supposed to send out to market at the same time. But I felt like I had not heard anything from Bantam in a long time. And I felt, and here was the Ace thing was coming up. And so I cheerfully disregarded what is that big no-no and sent off to the second market. So I show up, I get that, and so I do this, and then about 2 months later, I left journalism school, graduated, got a job at Worcester Magazine in Worcester, Massachusetts. The first day I walk into the job, on the very first day I walk in, and there's a letter waiting for me from Ken Buchanan at Ace Books saying, we really like this, they had read the submission in Slush Pile, and they would like to see the rest of the book. And my editor is like, you're not leaving us. Because he was under the impression that you sell a book, you automatically get $50,000 contract, and movie rights and the whole bit. I said, no, the book's not even finished yet, and I'm not going to get anywhere near that kind of money for it. So while I was working on this job, I still to this day can't see how I did it. I was working an 8 to 10 hour a day job, sometimes as many as 12, and then going home, eating quick dinner, watching the news, and then sitting down at the typewriter and then writing for another 4 hours. Passing out, getting up, going to work, doing this day after day for, I still can't believe I wrote a book under these conditions.
It's good to be young.
Yes, yeah. This is the type of thing you can do when you're 28 years old. So, and the book goes, and the book finally is finished, and it goes off to Ace, and then it disappears into a black hole again. Meanwhile, while I'm doing this, then I suddenly get a letter back from Bantam. Amy started Bantam. Gee, we really like this thing. Would you send us the rest of the manuscript?
Cool.
Okay, sure. Okay, so I send the book off to them. So I not only repeated my sentence, I compounded them. 2 different publishers have the same damn book. So first I get back a response from Amy Stout at Bantam. And okay, she likes the book, but she's got a number of changes in it that she wants to make in this thing. And some of these, the changes that she said are absurd changes. I mean, they really are. She said things like, new writers should not attempt in-depth characterization.